OK, the latest on coronavirus. Yesterday, the Prime Minister was discharged from hospital after a week which included 3 nights in intensive care.
And after returning home, he released this message to thank the NHS for saving his life.
Fine words, Prime Minister, and but they're not just powered by love. They need the right equipment as well. You heard the PM thanking specific nurses there in that recovery, but it seems that many staff, we have to point out, still feel they are not being given enough protection.
Yeah, yesterday the Royal College of Nursing urged nurses to refuse to treat patients only as a last resort if they felt adequate personal protective equipment was not there for them and it's not available to keep them safe.
Now, what we want to do now is to talk to a nurse. I want you to hear her story. She has first-hand experience of what a lot of people in the NHS are saying, and a lot of people, obviously, who work in care homes and are frontline in other ways, saying they just don't have this PPE equipment. Maria is not her real name, but she is a nurse. And Maria, before we get into just the whole technicalities of this, what I want to hear from you is what happened to you last week. You were working, you were on a shift. You didn't complete that shift. Would you please tell people what happened and why you did what you did? Good morning to you.
Good morning. Hello. Basically, I walked on shift and I was told that we had, I think there was 20 people and we had 15 cases of coronavirus. Now, I came in for a night shift and I know that they tell us that our night shifts, they tell us that our masks, we can only use 1 per shift. Now, I know those masks only last 4 hours. I knew that the PPE, we were already been told to hold back on PPE, and I hadn't actually worked with any cases of coronavirus as yet.
Yeah.
Now, I had to remember that I care for my father as well. My father is one of the very, very vulnerable people, and I just didn't feel comfortable continuing with the shift, knowing the PPE that I was being offered.
So you walked out on your shift, which I know would be against all your instincts in this. So I want to ask you, Maria, how did that make you feel?
I cried for about 2 hours in my car. I felt it went against everything I believe in. Like, when I came into this industry, it was to help people and give my best. And the fact that I had to leave it goes against everything that I go by, if you know what I mean. But I knew I had to do it because I don't want to be responsible of infecting my father. I live with my father. Yeah. And I had to think of my family at home.
Of course. What was the response from your colleagues on that shift when you said, guys, I'm going?
My colleagues were surprisingly, they understood where I was coming from because, like, everyone who knows me knows that I'm a carer for my father, and they know the situation. They understood it. And as an agency nurse as well, I go to other homes and other hospitals, and it was another thing of I can go and infect other people.
Now, Maria, I want to ask you about the Prime Minister. Thankfully, he's on the road to recovery. But like a lot of politicians, they use this rhetoric. They use these words that are supposed to make everybody feel everything's OK and we're winning and all that sort of thing. And you heard him say the NHS is powered by love. Would you rather be powered by love or have the proper protective equipment?
I would rather have the proper protective equipment, 100%. If I have the proper protective equipment, what happened last week would have never happened. I would have stayed there and I would have helped my patients.
Well, let me say this to you. There's a worldwide virus, right? This is a pandemic all over the world. Can you accept, in a way, they just can't get the equipment? I know that doesn't make life any easier for people who are frontline, but do you think there's something that could have been done about this, that can be done about this, or have we just got to accept, or people like you just got to accept the equipment ain't there?
Do you know what? I think it's a bit of both. I think there is something that can be done about this, but then I also feel like it's something where we might just have to accept that we have to work with what we've got, but we shouldn't be going to work feeling unsafe. And I feel like that is a lot of healthcare workers, and not even healthcare, frontliners feel like that. They're not properly protected.
The Royal College of Nursing, they said they've issued this 7-point safety plan, and they say you are entitled to refuse to work if you don't feel safe. Do you think we'll see more nurses like you, Maria, possibly walking away from their patients?
How many are doing it? How many are walking away?
I think. See, I can only speak for myself. I've now taken the decision to source my own PPE, and once I have my own PPE, I can then go back to work knowing that I sorted out myself.
Where do you get that from, Maria? Where are you going to get it from?
Well, I'm looking online. I'm asking people in groups if they can send me stuff. There's so many groups offering masks and stuff. I'm just trying my best to get what I can, so I feel safe. You
want to get back to work?
Do you know?
I want to get back to work because I want to help people. It's not like I don't want to help.
Sure.
I want to. That's why I wanted to be a nurse.
Maria, I want everybody to think about this. If any of us fall ill, or we have loved ones who have fallen ill, people we know that have fallen ill, we want them to be cured. We want them to be treated. But yet, I want everybody to think about, if you were Maria, or if you had family, if you had a brother, sister, a daughter, a mother, whatever, doing Maria's job, would you want them on the front line in contact with this virus without the proper protection equipment? That is the question. Maria, thank you very much indeed. Thank you, and really appreciate you telling us your story on this.
Yeah, and thank you, Maria, and we hope you do get back to work and stay safe. It's hard, isn't it? Because we all know that goes against everything she believes in. Any nurse, doctor, you know,
still her
everything
life.
they believe in is her
she
father.
also believes she's protected as well. Dr. Philippa Kaye, our expert throughout this whole lockdown situation. Can you pass judgment on Maria?
I'm not going to pass judgment on any healthcare professional that is making a decision based on their own health and the health of their family. I do think, though, that actually this will be rare. We should absolutely not be in a position where healthcare professionals are having to make this decision. But healthcare professionals run into the fire. That's what we do. We don't run away. And it would be exceptionally difficult for doctors and nurses to turn away from suffering because they didn't have the correct equipment. And that's why we're hearing stories of people making things and schools making things, making visors. I was making them at home with my children, for example. And so I think that we need to be in a position where we are protected. However, there also needs to be an understanding from both the government and doctors and nurses that we are in this position where there is a global shortage. And the government can say very clearly, we're sending out, 750 million pieces and it should last you all day, for example. But it's so hot and so difficult to work wearing full PPE. And we've all seen the pictures of the doctors and nurses with pressure sores over their face from where the masks and the visors sit. And they're getting dehydrated because they're so hot. That after a few hours, actually, they have to disrobe in order to have a drink and a comfort break so that we can continue to be good doctors and nurses. So the idea that you could wear something all day and not have a drink and not go to the toilet, that's not very realistic.
No, and Maria was actually told by management that she was changing her gloves too often.
And that's really difficult because we have to strike the balance between doing what we feel is right, but also following the official guidance. And 3 months ago, we knew nothing about this virus, so everybody would have worn the full kit and caboodle. And as we learn more, we have learned which procedures are more risky than others. And therefore, if you're not doing an aerosol generating procedure, something like intubating a patient, you don't need, for example, one of the filtering masks. So in GP land, where I am, we have just the normal surgical mask and a visor. So it's really important that we also follow the guidance that has come down so that we are using the equipment correctly so that it will last.
Doctor, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.